Self-made man, built an empire from nothing, wanted to teach his son the secrets of wealth. He says to me, "Rabbi, how do I pass on what I've learned about making money?" I look at him and say, "Teach him how to give it away." He stares at me like I've lost my mind. "Rabbi, I didn't come here for charity lectures. I came to talk about building wealth." I say, "I know. That's exactly what I'm talking about." Shalom, my friend. I'm Rabbi Shimon, and what I'm about to share with you is the single most counterintuitive wealth principle in Jewish tradition, a principle that the wealthiest Jewish families have practiced for generations, a principle that sounds completely backwards to modern ears, but has created more sustainable wealth than any business strategy ever could. Before I go deeper, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now and comment these 3 words: I give first. When you write that, you're making a declaration that shifts something in your consciousness. And subscribe to this channel, because what I teach here isn't motivational fluff. This is generational wealth architecture that's been tested across centuries. So subscribe, turn on notifications. Here's what that billionaire didn't understand, and what most people completely miss about wealth. You don't give because you're rich. You get rich because you give. Let me say that again, because this reverses everything you've been taught. You don't give because you're rich. You get rich because you give. The Hebrew word for what most people call charity is tzedakah. But tzedakah doesn't mean charity. It means righteousness. It means justice. It means the correct ordering of resources in the universe. When you give tzedakah, you're not being nice. You're not being generous. You're participating in the fundamental mechanism by which wealth flows. You're aligning yourself with how prosperity actually operates. Here's how most people think about money and giving. They think, first I'll build wealth. Once I'm financially secure, once I have extra, once I'm comfortable, then I'll be generous. Then I'll give back. That sounds reasonable, doesn't it? That sounds responsible. But it's completely backwards. That logic keeps people poor, because it's based on scarcity thinking. It's based on the belief that resources are limited, that you have to hoard what you have, that giving means losing. But Jewish wealth wisdom operates on a completely different principle, a principle that seems insane until you actually practice it and watch what happens. The principle is this: give first, not give eventually. Not give when you can afford it, not give from your surplus. Give first. Before you pay your bills, before you buy groceries, before you save, before anything else, you give. The traditional amount is 10%, a tithe. 1/10 of everything that comes to you goes out immediately to those who need it. Now, I can already hear what you're thinking. Rabbi, I can barely pay my rent. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I don't have 10% to give away. Maybe when I'm making more money, but not now. And that's exactly why you're stuck where you are. Listen to me carefully. The purpose of giving first isn't to help other people. I mean, yes, it helps other people, and that matters. But that's not why this practice creates wealth for you. Giving first trains your consciousness. It rewrites your relationship with money at the deepest level. When you give away 10% of your income while you're struggling, while it doesn't make logical sense, while you're scared about having enough, you are telling your subconscious mind something profound. You're saying, there's always more. Resources flow. I'm not operating from scarcity. I trust the process. That shift in consciousness changes everything, because your external financial reality is always a reflection of your internal financial consciousness. If you operate from scarcity, if you grip money tightly, if you're terrified of not having enough, that fear creates the very lack you're afraid of. Your decisions become small and protective. You don't take necessary risks. You don't see opportunities. You can't think creatively. You're in survival mode. But when you give first, especially when it's difficult, you break scarcity consciousness. You prove to yourself that giving doesn't create lack. You demonstrate that resources continue flowing even when you release them. And that shift opens up everything. Suddenly, you start noticing opportunities you were blind to before. You start making bolder decisions. You start thinking about abundance instead of survival, and that changes what you attract and create. Let me tell you about a man I knew. This was during the Great Depression. He ran a small shop in a Jewish neighborhood. Business was terrible. Everyone was struggling. He could barely keep the lights on. His wife said, "We need to stop giving tzedakah until things improve. We can't afford it right now." He said, "That's exactly when we most need to give." Every week, no matter how little came in, he gave away 10% first, before buying inventory, before paying himself. 10% went to families who had even less than he did. His wife thought he was insane. His friends told him he was being irresponsible, but he kept giving. His shop never closed, not once during the entire Depression. While businesses all around him failed, while others couldn't make rent, his shop stayed open. Not because he made more money than others, because he operated on a different principle. He told me years later, "I don't know how it worked. The numbers didn't make sense. But every time I gave, somehow what I needed appeared. Not extra, not abundance, but exactly what I needed kept showing up." That's how this works. Not magic, not superstition. A fundamental principle of how wealth flows. Here's what Jewish families understood that built generational wealth. They taught their children to give before they taught them to earn. They taught the practice of tzedakah before they taught business principles. Why? Because giving first establishes the correct relationship with money. It prevents the wealth from corrupting the person. It ensures that as prosperity grows, the person's character grows with it. I see families all the time who made money but lost everything because they never learned to give. The money corrupted them, made them paranoid, greedy, isolated. They ended up wealthy and miserable. But families who gave first, who maintained that practice as they built wealth, they stayed grounded. The money served them instead of controlling them, and their wealth lasted for generations instead of disappearing in one. Now let me be very specific about how to practice this, because the details matter. First, you give 10% of everything that comes to you, not net income, gross income, before taxes, before expenses, before anything. 10% comes off the top immediately. Second, you give to people who actually need it. This isn't buying coffee for friends or tipping generously. This is giving to people experiencing genuine hardship, people who can't repay you, people who need basic necessities. Third, you give without expectation of return or recognition. Anonymous giving is the highest form. You're not giving to look good or feel good or get something back. You're giving because this is how wealth flows correctly. Fourth, you give consistently, not occasionally. This isn't a one-time thing when you feel generous. This is a practice. Every single time money comes in, 10% goes out. Like clockwork, no exceptions. Fifth, you give even when it doesn't make logical sense, especially then. The times when giving feels impossible are exactly the times when giving breaks your scarcity thinking most powerfully. Here's what happens when you actually practice this for 30 days. And I want you to try this, not just think about it. Actually do it for 30 days and watch what happens. First, you'll feel resistance. Your mind will come up with 1,000 reasons why this is irresponsible, why you should wait, why you need that money for something else. That resistance is your scarcity consciousness fighting to survive. Push through it. Second, you'll feel lighter. There's something that happens when you give first. The grip of money on your psyche loosens. You stop being controlled by financial fear. It's subtle but profound. Third, you'll start noticing money differently. You'll become aware of waste. You'll see where money leaks out of your life unnecessarily. You'll make better financial decisions automatically because your relationship with money has shifted. Fourth, opportunities will start appearing. Not magically, but you'll notice things you were blind to before. You'll think of ideas you wouldn't have thought of. You'll meet people at the right time. Your expanded consciousness creates expanded possibilities. Fifth, money will come from unexpected sources. Not lottery winnings, but unexpected refunds, forgotten accounts, someone paying back an old debt, opportunities for extra income, things that wouldn't have appeared if you were operating from scarcity. This isn't about religion. This isn't about being a good person. This is about understanding how wealth actually flows in reality. Wealth doesn't come from hoarding. It doesn't come from protecting what you have. It doesn't come from scarcity thinking. Wealth comes from circulation, from flow, from trust, from operating on principles that seem backwards but actually align with how prosperity moves. The wealthiest people I know, the ones with sustainable, generational wealth, they all practice some form of this. They all give first. They all understand that giving creates the vacuum that more fills. The poorest people I know, even ones making good incomes, they grip their money tightly. They're terrified of not having enough, and that fear keeps them stuck in cycles of never having enough. So here's your challenge, and I'm serious about this. Don't just listen and nod and forget about it. Actually do this. For the next 30 days, give away 10% of everything that comes to you, before anything else. Before bills, before groceries, before savings. First, give it to people who genuinely need it, not organizations with overhead and marketing budgets, real people facing real hardship. Give anonymously if possible. Don't look for recognition or thanks. Just give, and watch what happens. Watch how your thinking changes. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how your relationship with money transforms. This practice has sustained Jewish families through persecution, displacement, poverty, and every imaginable hardship for thousands of years. Not because it's a religious obligation, because it works. You want to build real wealth? Wealth that lasts? Wealth that doesn't corrupt you? Wealth that serves your life instead of consuming it? Start by giving it away. Your soul is the blueprint. Your life is the construction. Shalom, my friend. Now go give first and watch what happens. That billionaire is sitting across from me, and I can see he's starting to understand the giving principle.